They almost blew it here. They had a whole council to decide whether you had to be circumcised to become a Christian. What if it went the other way? What if they said, you do? Let me tell you a story that happened early in the ministry. There was one time when I was one of the leaders, but I wasn't the pastor, and there was one time that the pastor went away, and they didn't ask me to share that one time. Normally they did, and they had a nice guy who came in from the Nazarene church to come and speak before the people. He was kind of an assistant in pastoring and kind of training, and he never spoke to Beth Israel before, and he wasn't Jewish, and not that he had to be, but he wasn't. And the Nazarene church thought it'd be good to give this experience to one of their training ministers. He was very nervous, and Gary, those of you who remember Gary Selman, gets up, gives him a big introduction, welcomes him, and then as he comes up, the guy's name was Jim, gives him a big bear hug, and then Gary sits down. Guy gets up to the pulpit and stands there like this and says, "Excuse me, I have to go." Leaves. Leaves. Everybody's just standing there. Imagine if I just did that. Everybody's just sitting there and they're looking at each other. What just happened? What just happened? Everybody's staring at an empty. It was one of the most awkward things. I mean, it's quite a rejection for a congregation when the guest speaker just walks out on them. Gary runs after him. He's in the bathroom. A minute later, Gary comes out and says, "We have a problem." And we go, "What's going on? What happened?" The guy wasn't yet full-time, and he did artwork as a profession, and for some reason he left an X-Acto knife in his pocket. And when Gary hugged him, it went into his chest. Basically, Gary knifed the guest speaker. The guy had to go to the hospital. Meanwhile, everybody's just sitting there trying to figure out what's going on. And they said, "What's going on? What's going on?" I heard Gary knifed the guy. His wife is in horror, saying, "This is the last time we're ministering with the Jews." She didn't quite say that. Gary turns to me and says, "Do you have a sermon?" I said, "I don't carry a sermon around." I said, "Why not?" He said, "Because I don't usually expect our guest speaker to get knifed." He says, "You've got 2 minutes to come up with a sermon." So I 2 minutes, I get up and I preach. Afterward, Gary calls up the guy to find out how he's doing. He's in the hospital. He got a machine. But in view of that, Gary knew that he should be sensitive in ministering to him, and he leaves a message to encourage him. The guy comes home from the hospital, turns on his answering machine. It's Gary Selman singing, "There's Power in the Blood." Meanwhile, the word gets out in the Nazarene denomination. They didn't even know what to make of Beth Israel, but now they sent their person in, and he comes out knifed. Said, "Did you hear what happened?" "I don't know. They knifed him. I don't know what happened." "Well, I don't think they knifed him. I don't know. Apparently, they don't like Gentiles. I don't know what that is." "I heard they weren't trying to knife him. They were trying to circumcise him." "I don't know." They heard he wasn't uncircumcised. Gary took matters in his own hands. Now, that's what happened. That's what happened. So now we look back and we laugh about it, but the fact that he's a pastor, he didn't leave the ministry. That was good, But the fact is, if this council had not come to the conclusion they came, think about this, there'd be more nights like that.
To find out how you can receive more of Jonathan's teachings, to receive special free gifts, or get in touch, go to hopeoftheworld.org or call toll-free 1-800-YESHUA-1. That's hopeoftheworld.org or call 1-800-YESHUA-1. That's 1-800-937-4821. You can also get more at Jonathan Cahn's Facebook page or write us direct at Hope of the World, Box 1111, Lodi, New Jersey 07644, USA.